everyone today. Oh my goodness, you all are in for an incredible time. This guest that we have today, Dr. David Gruder, what I love most about him, beautiful San Diego over there. I know, right? We gotta love it. Just a little shout out to the area, but also too, like, his heart for others is so incredible. And I love that he really takes the spiritual component with all the things that you're going to be learning today, because a lot of times in life, we just go into life and we just think that there's one way or one avenue, whether it's business or political or even religion. But he literally takes it, and including like nutrition and fitness, and really brings out the spiritual aspect of it. And so what we want you to do is just to sit back, relax, know that you're not alone in your journey and you are here with us, and do not hesitate to reach out. Dr. David, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Oh, well, thank you for having me, Chef Galen. I'm delighted to be with you.
Super fun. I know. This is so great. And it looks like you're like in outer space over there. It's like, you're like, let me take you on a spiritual journey. I love this. So tell us, how did you get involved in this field?
Right. Well, there's kind of a long arc to that, starting with when I was about 11 years old. I just had a download that made it really clear to me that I was supposed to have some significant impact in the world, although there was no content to it at that point. And then at 16, when I was expected by all of my peers and teachers to become a professional musician, I knew at the tender age of 16 that even though music was my first love, my calling was to become a psychologist. And then from there, now we're moving forward into the mid 70s, I became an administrator for what was at that time the first professional organization for the integrative health and medicine world, that at that time was called the Association for Holistic Health.
Wow.
And it was through that immersion in that world and the challenges that we who were administrators in that organization had to learn how to discern between innovators in that newly emerging field who really were on solid ground, to differentiate between those and quacks.
Oh, wow. Yes. I love that. So when you were making that transition of, you were into music, which is a very different part of our brain that you always hear people talk about. And then you decide to go and use your brain more in the medical area. But then you have these people saying, like, but you have these gifts and talents over here. Was it hard to make that transition? In that, like, how did you come to a place of being like, okay, to be able to mesh the two?
Right. Well, it was challenging because music was my first love, and I was utterly immersed in performing on many in many ways. Let me just say that. And at the same time, I've been blessed with having very clear guidance inside myself that I have learned that when I follow that higher guidance, things work out. And when I don't follow that higher guidance, which I unfortunately as a human being have done at times, I've really paid a price for that. So there have been multiple times in my life where mentors have wanted me to pursue a different career path than the one that I was called to pursue. I mean, I was called to, I was encouraged by a mentor to pursue an academic administrator pathway to ultimately become a university president.
Oh, wow.
And I said, sorry, it's not what I'm called to do. It's not my proper future.
Right.
So this has happened a number of times in my career, and I haven't veered away from my guidance.
Right. I love that. And so do you have to keep you centered and really laser focused, is there like a certain routine that you do? Do you have like a morning routine, or is there's something, because you're very much into your guidance, which is like everything, you know?
Yes, I do have a routine. I have formal routine at the beginning and end of my day, or actually just before going to sleep. In the morning, I deliberately reconnect into higher guidance, higher love and
Mm,
wisdom, and do a particular form of meditation to silence my monkey chatter so that I'm available
yes.
for that guidance. And at the end of the day, I program myself to be in training overnight while I'm sleeping,
Oh,
and
wow.
to awaken refreshed anyway.
Yeah.
But the real key for me, that I've helped so many people who are spiritually oriented with, is not those practices.
Mm.
The key for me is what I'm doing moment to moment throughout the day.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So for me, the spiritual practice is a moment to moment practice where I'm constantly, I mean, my favorite four-letter word is help.
I love that. I
And
love that.
so I'm constantly asking to be to be a conduit for higher love and wisdom, moment to moment to
Mm.
moment. And of course, like all of us, I have moments when I get hooked or triggered, or my ego gets carried away and I think that I'm smarter than source and stuff like that. And I have a really, at this point in my life, a really solid early warning system that tells me
I love that.
that I've done that. And the moment that I realize I've done that, I take a time out and I reconnect.
That is amazing. Wow. I love that. So it sounds like you're just very in tune, you know, like with everything that goes on and, you know, throughout your journey. Now, when you were younger, do you remember like that moment in your life where you were like, I can't follow the path of what other people are doing or even what people are telling me to do? I mean, have you always been like, I don't know. Did anyone ever look at it as maybe having like a stubborn personality or something like that? Because you know you seem very confident in your direction.
I am now, up through, I don't know, early college.
Yeah.
My self-esteem was down by my ankles.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So even though I had connection with higher guidance, I my picture of myself was incredibly toxic. I had a very toxic inner critic.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there I've always bucked the system.
Okay.
However, my calling has been to buck the system in a way that doesn't cause me to get unduly attacked.
Oh good. Yes.
So I'm still attacked. I mean, people. There are people who don't like what I have to say, which is fine. But I had an experience in my mid-teens where I I was pretty well crucified for a position I took,
Oh wow. Yeah.
and it was very instructive because the position I had taken was against polarization.
Mm.
And this was when the war in Vietnam was raging.
Okay.
And I had taken a position against polarization, wanting to bring the two sides, the anti-war and pro-war in Vietnam sides together, and to help them, speak as one voice, essentially, to help them unify and synergize. And I ended up succeeding at doing that, but in a way that caused them to all attack me in
Wow.
one voice. And
Okay.
that was a turning point experience,
Yeah.
because what it taught me was that I did have the potential to get people on the same page, but I needed to learn how to not make myself the sacrificial lamb in accomplishing that.
That's so good. That is so good. Wow. That is definitely something that people need to hear because you're right. Like if you have a calling and then it's something like what you're saying, where you're going to get, you can get some backlash, which no matter what you do in life, you're going to have those who love you and those who do not love you. You know what I'm saying? And so I love that you just went for it, but you actually learned through the process. So what are some things that you can share with our audience? Like through your journey that they can just go through life and really adhere.
Yeah. Okay. So, on a boots on the ground level, there are a couple of very specific things that I recommend. First of all, when having conversations with people who have different perspectives from our own,
Mm-hmm.
the thing that I always do first is I look for the grain of truth or pebble of truth or sometimes boulder of truth in what they're saying. And I side with that
Mm-hmm.
first.
Yes.
I don't do it in a gratuitous way. I don't do it in a lying or false kind of way. I really make a point of searching
Mm.
for whatever grain of truth I can find in what they're saying, and I honor that
Oh, that's good.
first.
Ooh.
The second thing that I do is I don't pay attention to surface positions that people take.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Those to me are smoke screens. They're um, premature punchlines of a joke. And
Yes.
what I want to know is what's the setup for the punchline. So
Good.
what I always do is I inquire about what the deep concerns and high intentions are that are behind or beneath the surface
Mm.
position they're taking or the solution they're advocating.
Oh, that's great.
And
Yes.
then I combine their deep concerns and high intentions with my deep concerns and high intentions to invite them into looking at what a solution might look like if it incorporated both their and my deep concerns and high intentions.
That is fantastic. It's literally like putting the other person at ease. Like, we're not here to attack. I'm not here to prove myself. And it's also just a lot of self empowerment it's like a practice of really putting your ego aside. And especially like when you talk about like, even like intentionally, like I know what you're saying, like if someone like you're not on page with someone, but you're like intentionally like, I need to find a pebble, there's got to
Yeah.
be something that I'm in alignment with here. I mean, you know what I mean? So I can just imagine because like I feel your spirit even after following you for about over a year now. Like, like you don't want controversy, it's all about like let's have peace, you know what I mean? But if it's there, then let's do it on like a healthy way where it's not like people are attacking each other and trying to elevate and just, debating just to debate, which our world definitely loves to debate. It's like,
Uh,
what can I find to debate without?
well, yeah. And the only thing that I would piggyback on to with that is that what people call debate isn't
Oh,
debate.
oh, good.
It's arguing, it's posturing, it's talking over each other. It's
Yes.
and my confidence is twofold. My confidence that I've developed over the years as I gradually recovered from really low self-esteem
Mm.
is I'm confident in my capacity to articulate my perspectives, my concerns, and my intentions.
Yes.
And I'm equally confident that I don't see the whole picture because no one person or group can see the whole picture around an issue.
Right.
But if I offer my vantage point, my perspective on an issue with confidence and with confidence as well that they have parts of the picture that are in focus for them that aren't in focus for me. That
Right.
combination of those two kinds of confidences creates magic.
Right. That's interesting. I've never heard anyone explain it like that. That's really, really powerful. So, as you were going through life and, you started, in one sector and now you are where you are now. What would you say would be maybe one of the biggest impacts that really brought you to really have the impact that you have on society now and just really a love for people?
Mm. Well, we could talk for hours about the various big impacts, but I'll share with you one of them.
Okay, yeah.
It was an early one for me. I was 15 years old, and my parents sent me to Woodstock.
Ah, yes. I love that.
Now, of course, they didn't know what they were sending me to. They were very supportive of my involvement with music and acting growing
Yeah.
up, and they somehow managed to put together the funds to send me off to a camp for the performing arts in the summertime so I could continue to develop myself in those ways, when the school year wasn't going on.
Yeah.
And so the spring of 1969, the camp director of this camp for the performing arts up in the Berkshires in Massachusetts sends a note home to all the parents saying, for the first time in the camp's history, we're going to have an optional field trip to a music and arts fair in upstate New York. Do you want to send your kid? Well, so my parents had no idea what they were
Gosh, I
sending
love
me
it.
to. But the reason I'm bringing up the story is because I thought, understandably, that I was going to Woodstock for the music, and the
Okay,
music
yes.
was amazing. What I could
Were
never
you,
have,
I just have a question. Were you already into music at this time?
I started performing in fourth grade.
Okay, okay. So you were like excited. You're like, yeah, music for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And so what I discovered at Woodstock was that I I was being shown a higher version of what it could be to be human and what society could be.
Yeah.
Because, in the 1960s, there was this cliche that said sex, drugs, and rock and roll,
Yeah.
right? And what I started to see as I unpacked my Woodstock experience, which, by the way, I arrived at Woodstock. I was 15. I arrived at Woodstock a drug free virgin, and God's honest truth, I left Woodstock a drug free virgin.
Right, right. Well, FYI out there.
I was a late bloomer. What can I tell you?
Right,
But,
right.
but I, it took me a while to make sense of the powerful experience I had there, which was really an understanding of the wisdom underneath the cliche of sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah.
The sex part was that we were exploring in the 1960s a desire to have a deeper level of connection and intimacy beyond a surface level societal expectation of a marriage contract. The
Okay.
drugs part of sex, drugs, and rock and roll is that we were looking to become more authentic, more fully who we were in contrast to the conformity that was
Mm,
installed in society in the 1950s under the guise of the American dream, which was a total hijacking of the original American dream, but
yeah.
that's another story. And the third part, the rock and roll part, was that for the first time in the history of music, lyrics were appearing in songs that were telling us that we actually had the power to change the world, to
Good.
have positive impact in the world. And that basically was the turning point that showed me a vision of being integrative and holistic in our health
Wow.
that went beyond mind, body, spirit.
That is
Not that
amazing.
those things aren't important,
Right,
because
right.
we needed to heal the mind body spirit split.
Yes.
However, for me, what I was being shown was that beyond that, we are one third authenticity, one third me,
Okay.
we're one third we, which is connection, and we are one third impact, which is collective or group integrity, if you
That is
will.
amazing.
And so that three-dimensional self, authenticity, connection, and impact, is for me the higher level, the more advanced level of being integrative and holistic above and beyond the necessity of healing mind, body, and spirit.
I love that. Wow. That is, I mean, what a way to live life. You know what I mean? Like, what a way to like coast through life, having that mindset, or even just having those tools. Cause I mean, life is life. We're gonna hit some roadblocks here and there. But I mean, what a blessing that you had that opportunity at that age and that you were able to really kind of see how it evolved in throughout your life with that. I mean, that is really like transformational, really, really amazing. So when you talk about me, we, and impact,
Us
is
all.
that
The impact is us all. Me, we, and us all.
okay? Yeah. Oh, and us all. Do you feel like that is like a calling that you've had on your life, like throughout your entire life, just to really like connect, make that impact, teach?
Yes, very much so. I mean, I grew up on the autistic spectrum, mild
Okay.
autism,
Yeah.
but definitely on the autistic spectrum. And my favorite solitary game as a child was dot to dot. You know, those
Oh,
booklets where you've got all these
oh,
dots and
I
you
love
connect the
that.
dots.
Yes.
And so, what I understand with the advantage of 2020 hindsight is that I really came into this life with a natural tendency to be an integrator, a connector of seemingly disconnected dots.
Okay, that's good. That's like so visual. It's like I can just see the whole thing. That is amazing. So I know that you were younger, and then what you're doing now is really like, just really impactful. And then when you talk about like the spirit, the heart, and the mind, what in having them all come together, why do you think that component is so important?
Which component now?
That between the spirit, the heart, and the mind
Oh, yeah.
that you talk
Well,
about a lot.
sure. The reason that I think that's important and I experience it as being important is because if I only think I'm a body, then I'm disconnected from higher love and wisdom. So I'm susceptible to being swept up by and intoxicated by the physical world, the different whatever parts of the physical world are attractive to me.
Right.
And that's a faulty happiness formula if I do
Mm,
that, if I
mm.
think that that's the way to happiness. If I'm only connected into my mind, then I've left my heart and my spirit behind. So I become
Oh, yes.
a walking thinking machine. And that's misuse of a gift because our mind is designed to be a tool in service to higher love and wisdom, not the be all end all in and of itself. The
Yes.
mind should never be the boss. It needs to be a tool.
Oh, good.
And then the spirit part, I mean, I spent a long time in my 20s, actually, prior to that, too. I really didn't want to be here in physical form.
Right. Mm.
In fact, literally up until the age of 35, I would have sworn on a stack of Bibles that I was here in the physical universe. I was here on earth as punishment.
Wow. Right.
And so I was trying to do spiritual sidestepping. I was trying to pretend like I was a spirit that didn't have to deal with the fact that I was in a body.
Yeah. Got it.
So the integration of mind, body, and spirit is really crucial to me because spirit, my job is to use my mind and the physical vehicle that I'm in, called my body, as a conduit for higher love and wisdom in the physical universe.
Wow. No, that's good. And I love that you say your mind is a tool. It's not meant to be the boss, it's like meant to be the tool. I mean, that is like, because, a lot of times, like what you're talking about, when people are suffering, they put so much of it like in their thought, when really, just going into like your heart, your spirit, all those other things, are really what should be guiding you in that. Oh man, I love it. I love it. Okay, so audience, I know that you probably are like, okay, now I know why Chef Galen's so obsessed with Dr. David. I know the content is like amazing, and so grateful that you're here with us. He also has a free giveaway that he wants to gift us with. Why don't you share what that is? I mean, I'll have all the information below, but why don't you just share a little bit about what you want to gift our audience?
Sure. I want to gift our audience with three things. One is an article, a PDF
Mm.
that's in time for the holidays, since the timing
Yes.
of this is holidays oriented. How to be with family without backsliding, and how to heal toxic or traumatic or undesired holiday experiences and turn holidays into magic. So that's a PDF that I want to give to people. The second thing I want to give to people is my ebook called Reimagining Humanity.
Oh, awesome. Yes.
And the final thing that I want to gift to our viewers is free membership in my Center for Enlightened Self-Sovereignty.
I love that. That is so generous. I cannot thank you enough. And honestly, you're so right. Like just going into the holidays, and that's the series that we have, How to Heal Naturally, Holiday Edition, Global. But it's so true. And you were just talking about like, turning your holidays into magic, because it's like all we have is the here and now, right? So why not make the holidays as magical as possible and not be like, oh my goodness, let's just get through this. Like, let's just get through it. And so what a great gift, all of those. I mean, I'm excited about the PDF and all that you're giving out, and just even being part of your community is going to be so fantastic, I have to say. What is something do you want to leave our audience with? I mean, you've shared so much and it's been so enlightening. What would you like everyone just to kind of go into their day with after listening to all this?
Mm-hmm. I think the most important thing that I can share with our audience is that the sky is not falling. I mean, so many of us who are empaths and who are concerned about the state of humanity, the state of society, the state of their country, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, there's all kinds of toxic idiocy going on in the world. Let's be blunt about that. And the sky is not falling. The reason this is happening is because there are tons of people who are terrified because humanity is right now in the process of elevating into a new species from Homo sapiens, which is what we've been, into what I call Homo spiritus, which is human spirits, where we're conduits of higher love and wisdom in the physical universe. And because this massive shift in the arc of humanity's evolution is occurring right now, it's got a lot of people scared and reactionary and a lot of confusion going on. It's a necessary step toward our next elevated expression as a species. So the sky's not falling. That's my most important message.
I love that. I love that, especially going into the holidays. You all, the sky is not falling. Oh my goodness. How can our audience get in touch with you? Again, we will have all the contact information below, but Dr. David, why don't you share how they can get in touch with you?
Sure. I'm on most of the social media sites, but my hub website, the website that I have that can connect you to all of the different hats that I wear and things that I do, is drgruder.com. That's drgruder.com.
I love that. I love that. I know you wear many, many hats, and we just like literally barely scratch the surface of all just the knowledge that Dr. David has. It's really just like phenomenal. And I'm so excited that now we're connected for the rest of time.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for being here with us, Dr. David. You have been such a delight, and really just taking the time out to pour into us, to encourage, uplift, and inspire. It's just been really just above and beyond. I'm completely blown away. You have given us so many nuggets. I've taken a ton of notes. I'm going to have to like go back through them. And an audience, I just want to remind you too, you are not alone in your journey, especially over the holidays. Let's make it magical, like Dr. David talks about. All right. And know also that all of this information is underneath, here. And if you know of someone who would resonate with this, do not hesitate to share it. Thank you again.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Chef Galen.